Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gotham Sports Machine. I'm your host, Jack Healey, joined by my co-host, Mark Healey. How are we doing today after a great weekend of some baseball?
Now, look, it's always great when the Mets take a series from the Yankees, but the way that they did it, and the way that they didn't let down last night, Jack, it was like, look, it wasn't pretty, but it was gutty, and it was exhausting, but it was great to see them. Look, we've seen Mets teams in the past have a weekend like that, a Subway Series, lots of emotion, come from behind victories and then lay an egg when they play, a team like the Nationals, a team they should beat, even though the Nationals are a good team. But really, it's a team they should beat. And, the way that they won it last night, pulling it out, even after getting down again, they blow a 5-3 lead. I feel great. I mean, and I'm really excited about the Knicks tonight. So, May's been great for the New York Mets, so I'm in a good mood. How about you, buddy?
I really wasn't in a good mood until Tyrone Taylor smacked that three-run home run, and that really changed everything. I
Yep,
mean,
it did.
that was out of nowhere. You watch Soto and Vientos put together terrible at-bats. You're
Oh,
like, all right, this game's done. And then Tyrone Taylor with the swing of his life
right.
hits
And
an
he's been
absolute bomb. And even I didn't even think it was fair. It looked like it was going foul.
right.
Completely changed maybe even that outlook on the season. I mean, they lose that series, they lose that game. Who knows? Like the spirits are definitely a lot worse going into that Nationals game.
Right.
And you probably don't pull off a 12 inning comeback victory and score 10 runs in extra innings. And
Right.
that's ridiculous. It's great to see these young guys. I mean, they needed something. You knew they needed to start calling these guys up. And it started with Benj. I mean, he started the year on the team, but it started with Benj, and he got a little juice from Ewing. Maybe get a little juice from Morbido. Maybe get a little juice from Thornton now. Hopefully they can continue this. Hopefully we can keep it going.
Well, the thing I like is it's not just those young guys that are getting it done. Semien is all of a sudden, Semien's been hitting with runners in scoring position. He just hasn't had many runners in scoring position, and he's been hitting. We've been killing him too on his show. But look, he's been producing. Brett Beatty, who everybody loves to hate, ever since the calendar turned to May, all of a sudden he's playing third base on a regular basis because of the Lindor injury. Getting him out of right field, which look, I don't know if it was his defensive positioning or whatever, but playing third base, and then he made that amazing play last night at first base. Obviously, has agreed with him. Vientos, his bat comes and goes, but he's been improving at first base despite that nonsensical error he made the other night. But I mean, look, it's not just them. I mean, Terens has gotten some big hits, so look, the young guys have definitely had an impact. But I think that maybe what David Stearns learned from last season is that if you have some guys, if you have some guys in the minors that are young guys that are unproven, that are playing well, maybe it's better to bring those guys up than to these quadruple A guys. They DFA'd Austin Slater. Instead of guys like that, maybe you got to start harvesting those prospects. Who knows what would have happened last year if they had brought McLean up earlier, and instead of trying to the tomato can express. Who knows what would have happened. But again, that was last year. Now we're in the present. You definitely they've played great in May. They've what's their record in May now? It's like ridiculous, right? It's
Like
like
11-5,
yeah, it's I mean they've played so much better,
maybe 12 and
and
5 at the last time.
they're still the NL East is not going to happen for them this year, but they still have a very decent shot at getting themselves back into the postseason mix. Now we're just going to see how they're going to deal with all these pitching injuries. I mean, I'm excited about Thornton. He's a lefty. I'm always excited about the lefties. Jack. I love those lefties.
Yeah, I mean, you keep saying the division's done, and like as much as like I'm completely on one way or the other, like it's still so early in the season that
True.
nothing is set, and like everyone's like, oh, like the Mets have not earned the right to look at the standings for the rest of the like until September.
Right.
They can't even look because they've put themselves so far out of even a wild card that it's not even worth looking,
Right.
and they've like. Yeah, the Braves are playing dominant baseball, but there's months and months left. They could just as easily have a month just as bad as the Mets just did, and we're right back in business. But the rest of the division is playing well too.
Right. Phillies are 15-4, right?
Yeah,
Since they
Phillies are
fired.
back. Miami's been kind of like the Mets, but they've even been better than the Mets. The Nationals, I mean, we see they can
They can
hit,
hit.
but
They
they
can
can't
hit.
really do anything else.
But they can hit. And then that's when you got a bullpen now that's strained to where they had to pitch Kimbrel in that last inning last night. Who's even available today? So you're going to need McLean. He's got to pitch deep. He's got to pitch deep tonight.
And like I was even saying it last night, I don't know if like it's good to get Kimbrel in a low leverage spot, but I mean maybe they should have just thrown a position guy out there. Like they were up by
No, no, no. You got
how
to
about
win.
they
You
have
got to win the game that's in front of you, Jack. You got to win the game that's in
yeah,
front of
but now again you just said who's what if McLean gets lit up and they only go 4 innings?
you. They're not going to win the game anyway. I mean, you got to win the game that's in front of you.
If
If
it's
you're
it was
worried,
7-5 game,
I get it.
McLean gets but who then you just keep that's what happened to them last year. They just kept throwing arms, throwing arms, throwing arms. Then they didn't have a bullpen or starting rotation by September. Right now, we don't even have a starting rotation. What do we have? Two starters? We have McLean, Peralta can't go more than six, and that's it. Then you got Peterson needs an opener. They're saying this rookie might need an opener. Senga's done. Who even knows if he comes back?
Well, they
Menea's
said he was throwing
beyond
nine. They,
done.
they said he was throwing 95 the other
Yeah,
day.
they said he was throwing 99 in spring training, and look what happened. He's got a 9 ERA. He's done. As much as he's what 34, 35. He's not going to just magically come back from being hurt for the past 2, 3 years. Not going to magically get healthy. They need to either like that's the thing. Whether they're just going to keep calling up guys, and then these guys are calling up. We don't know if they're ready, and one of them might need an opener. So it's still using more bullpen arms. I mean, we're just using these arms. It
I
was a
would rather
disaster
do,
last
but
year.
I would rather do that. I would rather bring up guys, the prospects from the minors, and let them see if they can sink or swim. I'd rather do that. It's not a situation where you have to worry about their rookie status. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. The idea is to win games, and you got to do whatever you can to win games. So we'll see. I mean, look,
Yeah. But basically what I'm getting at is that they need to make a move. Like I feel like they need to go out and add as nice as it is to keep bringing up these kids, it's so much like uncertainty. You have to bring in a veteran arm that you know
I
you
agree,
can.
but the store's not open yet, so you got to do what you can until the store's open.
I mean,
Nobody's moving anybody before June 15th.
yeah.
Maybe when the calendar moves to June, or we're in the middle of June, and somebody's 20 games out, they'll make a deal, but I don't see that happening yet. So you're gonna have to feed the beast with these kids. That's the only way they're gonna do it, unless Senga comes back,
And that's
or that's what you're gonna have to do. But look, I mean, I feel good. Why are you bringing me down, man? I feel good right now. You bring me
that's
down,
it. But like it's even the Yankees are starting to run into similar issues.
right?
They're having starting pitching issue. Like one guy goes down, another guy goes down, and who even they're down to bare bones in their starting rotation.
Yep.
They're starting to lose some games. They're starting to struggle.
Yeah,
And
they're
their
9-8.
bullpen,
They're 9-8 in May, and they're trailing the Rays now by 3 games in the East.
their bullpen looked great early, starting to fall apart because they're starting to be used more. Bednar's starting to look not so locked down in that ninth inning.
Yeah,
maybe.
he hung on last night. I mean, they won that game last night against the Blue Jays, but he did not look good. And that's like the third or fourth outing, out of his last six or seven where he hasn't looked sharp.
And you got to think like he hasn't given up a home run in so long, and the first home run he gives up is to Tyrone Taylor, hanging him a meatball palm right down the middle in the Subway Series to lose the game. Like that's gonna like as a pitcher you want to get rid of it. You obviously like you move on, whatever, but like that's gotta like have some kind of lasting effect, especially on that pitch. That's his pitch. That's how he gets guys out. So you start losing confidence in your pitch as a closer, things start getting dicey, and the Yankees haven't had a consistent closer in God knows how long.
Well, the other thing too is when for the Yankees, and the Yankees, they play in the American League, and the American League's not good. So, they're not in a situation where they have to make up for a bad start. They actually got off to a decent start. Now they haven't played well of late,
Great
but
start.
they're still playing over 500 ball. The American League is not good, and they don't have like look. Could it get dicey? Sure, it could. But if I'm a Yankee fan, I'm not. I mean, Yankee fans worry about everything, but I wouldn't worry about the Yankees just yet, uh, because the rest of the American League is terrible. So, the Yankees have some time now to kind of fix their bullpen issues. They have some time to fix their starting issues. They got to get Stanton back. Who knows if he comes back, when he comes back. They got Volpe back. He's been playing pretty well for them. So, we'll see. I think the Yankees are in decent shape. The Mets are starting to get into decent shape. But the team that's in great shape, and they're starting game one tonight at the Mecca, Madison Square Garden. How pumped up are you for this game tonight?
I'm pretty pumped. I mean, I haven't seen the Knicks play in like a week now after that absolute demolition of the 76ers. I mean, Philly probably won't recover from that for at least until football season. Yeah, I mean the Phillies are starting to play better, but I, this series is so big for so many reasons because last season, I mean I talked about it a little last episode, but I mean that the taste you got from that Pacers series, right? I mean that was terrible. You have a terrible taste in your mouth from last year. I mean, I don't care how good this year has been. I don't care how dominant we've been in these playoffs. Nothing matters until right now. Like this is everything. This is a whole new season, whole new ball game. These next two series, obviously you gotta take a game at a time, but like this is it. The Knicks haven't been this good and in this situation in over 20 years. Like this is the year. This is the setup. This has been the best like path to the finals. Like you have everybody. I mean, OG is a little banged up, but you have everybody healthy. This is it. Cleveland, they're a good team. They match up decently well with the Knicks, but at the end of the day, we got Jalen Brunson. And Jalen Brunson is the best player in the series. He's been the best player in every series. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's a great player. I just don't see. I don't really know if he's going to guard him all series, and I just don't see him be able to lock up Brunson all series. And that's been the problem for every team has to stop Jalen Brunson. Some teams do a better job than others. Some teams are able to kind of slow him down, but this Cavs team hasn't shown in the past that they're able to do that. And until they can like show up and do that, I'm just not so I'm not so worried about them. I mean, you have to set the tone early. This game one, you have to set the tone right away. You got to come out firing. You got to get Cat going. You got to get Bridges going. You got to get Anunoby going. And you got to suffocate them on defense. Defense and the paint defense is huge. The one kind of like, I guess not, they have a size advantage down low. I like our big men, but we don't really play Cat and Mitch at the same time. It's going to be Cat and most likely OG down there. And they got Mobley and Allen, two 7-footers, two big dudes. I mean, Mobley's a little lighter, but he's 7 foot with a ridiculous wingspan. It's a defensive player of the year. He won defensive player of the year. He's great on defense. And Towns is gonna have his work cut out for him. Towns has been great all postseason. He's been one of the most efficient, electric passing big men we've ever seen. I mean, the guy can shoot it from 40, and the way he just sits in the post, stares over the defense, and just delivers an absolute like missile of a pass. It's like no other. And hopefully Mike Brown doesn't do what he did in the Atlanta series and randomly like, let's switch up the game plan we've been doing and that's been working. He hasn't he's been consistent and he's been running this offense through Cat past two series and we just need to keep it going. We need to keep this Nick energy thriving and keep dominating the way that they have.
Well, look, they have to win game one. I mean, there's no question. They have to win game one. Is it the end of the world? No, but I don't like the idea of facing a Cavaliers team that just embarrassed Detroit in a game seven on its home court. You know, now again, I say that by saying I thought Detroit. It's hard to say a number one seed is overrated, but I thought Detroit was overrated. Good team. They obviously gave the Knicks fits during the regular season, but to me, I always kind of thought I looked at them and I was like, are they really this good, or is everybody else just trying to like tread water until the playoffs start? So was I surprised that Cleveland beat them? No. I was a little surprised that Cleveland was able to beat them in a game seven on the Pistons home floor. I was a little surprised by that, especially given, you know, uh, your buddy James Harden and how often he fails in the postseason. So I'm a little worried about Harden. I'm always worried about Donovan Mitchell because he's awesome. And, Kenny Atkinson is the coach. And you know how much I love that guy. So, I'm worried about these matchups. I'm worried about, even though I love the Knicks and I think they're playing great, and you're right, this is what we signed up for, Eastern Conference Finals against the Cavs. Um, but I am worried. So I'm not picking any easy, easy series here. I think it's going to go seven. I think the Knicks will win. But it all comes down to if this is what it comes down to for me, and you agree with me or disagree with me. If OG's really healthy, I think the Knicks win. I think he's the key. That's what I think. I think you're right. They have to run the offense through Cat. Jalen is Jalen. He's the best player in the series. But I think the health of OG and his ability on both sides of the ball, to me, is the key to the series. If he's not healthy, I am worried about whether or not they're going to be able to pull it out.
Yeah. I mean, well, Detroit, they were like to say over, they weren't overrated. Going into the postseason, because they were great all year, but then his lung collapsed. So like he had a very major injury right before the postseason. And yeah, he got like a game or two before, but he really did get to condition himself for postseason basketball. And he still I mean, he carried them. He didn't have a great postseason because he had a lot of turnovers, and he had a very James Harden-esque postseason, averaging like 30 and 10, but with eight turnovers. And you just knew that they were eventually going to run out of gas. When you're running your whole offense through one guy who's coming off a major injury, it was too tough for them to, especially when they went down 3-1 against the Magic. They're basically playing comeback the entire playoffs. And I like Cleveland, and I think that they really benefited from that, from the fact that Cade, like, he really just didn't have the juice that he's had all season. I mean, there were games where he was just done. That last game, he had like 12, 13 points, and he was just wasn't the same player, the MVP caliber player that he was all year. And the Knicks are also well rested, while the Cavs had to play two 7-game series. I think a lot of these factors are going to play in. Some people think the layover that's going to mess with the Knicks, and maybe they don't have the energy. But I think this series is going to be decided very early. If the Knicks can set the tone, they can come out and do what they did to Philadelphia and just put them in a chokehold. I just, I don't know if the only guy on Cleveland that can like really shake things up after a big Knicks win. And like the only guy I'm really scared of is Mitchell. It really is. Like Harden's historically been good against the Knicks, but postseason's a different animal. We're gonna
Yeah.
have Bridges and Hart hounding him. Like this defense has just been flying all over the place this postseason. As good as our offense has been, we win when we suffocate teams. When we start holding teams to under 100, that's when we're the honestly the most dangerous team in the league. You can talk about OKC all you want. You can talk about the Spurs all you want. Spurs had a big win last night. Wembanyama hit a shot from the parking lot. He's ridiculous.
He is ridiculous.
But outside of him, they're a very young team, and they just don't have like the Thunder are the only team in basketball that have the amount of threats and guys you have to worry about just going off for 30. They're the only two teams where I can just rattle off 4 or 5 guys that you have to worry about every single night. So when the Cavs just don't have that. They have 4 or 5 guys that are very good at basketball, but they're starting guys like Dean Wade, Jared Allen. Like those guys aren't liable. They're not going for 20, 25 every night. Jared Allen he's shown the potential to go for nothing burgers in the playoffs. Because he's a center that all he can do is dunk. He doesn't have any type of jump shot. And those center like we have a guy like that in Mitch, but he's not our starting center. He's not going to be on the floor for 35 minutes.
Right.
So I like our matchups. You say you're worried. The only matchup that is, I think, of note is going to be who guards Brunson and who does Brunson guard. Answer is nobody could guard Brunson, but
Well, I look, I don't have the technical know-how that you do of the rosters and the stars. I don't. When it comes to the Knicks, I don't cover them. The way that you do. I don't like do the deep dive the way that you do. I'll be the first one to admit that. But I've been watching the Knicks for a long time, and I just feel like when everybody is talking about a guy like James Harden, who always fails in the postseason, I have nightmare scenarios where, like, of course, it'll be the Knicks where he has his, epiphany, and all of a sudden becomes this like playoff like assassin.
well, I
You know,
mean,
I just
he's had great playoff performances. He's played great teams. He's lost to great teams. His best teams have lost. He went to the Western Conference Finals, lost to the 2018 Warriors, 2017 Warriors with Kevin Durant. Lost to Boston when they won in Philly. When he was in Philly, he lost to Boston when they won the championship. So like, and this also isn't his team. He's not the best player on this
I
team.
know, I know.
So it's
But
not going to be
who was that guy last year that killed us for the
Halliburton.
Pacers? The
There's a few
guy
guys,
who's
but their main player was Halliburton.
no, but there was another guy who just all of a sudden was hitting
Yeah,
shots.
Neesmith.
Oh,
Neesmith at
oh,
that was game one. He
oh,
scored 20 straight points,
oh. Like
and it was
that's
never
that's the
the
nightmare
same.
scenario I have. That like James Harden is like, popping threes from all over
Yeah,
the
well,
place.
James Harden's a great player. I could sleep at night if James Harden lit us up.
No,
Aaron Neesmith, I couldn't sleep.
I can't. Oh, God.
I'd be like, if Dean Wade starts lighting this up, that's the similarity right there.
Well, that's why
And
it has. That's why the defense, as you said, the defense has to be the star right now. That
mhm.
defense has to contain. That's why I like the rest aspect, because when you have rest like that, sometimes the guys who shoot, sometimes they'll need a quarter or two to kind of get uh kind of get their rhythm back. I always worried about that. Like, that's one of the things I worry about with a layoff. But defense is, I don't know who said it, but defense is 90% effort. It's 90% effort. And they have to come out like you said, and they've got to set the defensive tone. I mean, look, I mean, they might be shooting, all through, getting ready for the series as they weren't playing. But, game time is much different than practice. So, to me, that defensive dominance has gotta like play through from the, from the opening tip off. That's how I feel.
Yeah. I mean,
You're
the
gonna make a
whole
prediction? You're making a prediction?
I think Knicks in five. I think the it all depends on the first two games. If the Knicks can take these first two games, they can even sweep. Like I think the Knicks are clearly a better team. But it's the playoffs. It's a completely different. It all is going to be on the Knicks. The Knicks are their own worst enemy. If they start turning the ball over,
I agree with that. I agree with that.
they start shooting bricks, and they start letting Donovan Mitchell light them up. Yeah, the interior, like the offensive rebound, is going to be huge too because
Yes.
has a little bit of a advantage, but the Knicks have just been offensive rebounding team
Yeah.
all year. They've been a
Yep.
great offensive rebounding team.
Yep.
So
So your
I
your
would
pick
really
is Knicks in five. Is that your pick?
Knicks in five. Mitchell Robinson does exactly what he did last time we played Cleveland and absolutely dominates both big men with the addition of Towns.
Okay. I'm still saying Knicks in seven.
And my guy Jalen Brunson goes to work.
Knicks in seven. Jack has Knicks in five. Look, I'm excited. I'm excited about being in the Eastern Conference Finals back to back. Been a long time since that's ever happened, and I'm just looking forward to Knicks playoff basketball, and always great to get on this podcast with you, pal.
Yep. We'll be with you every single week. Follow us, the Gotham Sports Machine, on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We're everywhere. And we'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy.